Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you have had a good week, and I hope that your weekend is off to a good start. Thank you for being here with me today and sharing your weekend time with me. Everybody, this is a subscribers chat class, so to join the chat in this live lesson, all you need to do is just subscribe to our channel, and that is a very good idea when you're doing the IELTS, so that you can participate in live IELTS classes for free each week, as well as get access to lots of great vocabulary and other good materials. Fuang, Domenico, Natty, Silviana, Yanni, Domenico, nice to see many of our members in the class. Black Panther, AJ, Alaunis, Alexander, good to see many of our subscribers and regular students. Welcome Carolina and Chen, our chat moderators. Students, if you have a question, I don't answer it, ask Chen, ask Carolina, they'll help you out. In this class, everybody, we're doing listening practice. We're listening to a nursery registration for part 1 and the university tour for part 2. And this lesson, these materials, this listening exam is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, visit us there. For general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites that power these live classes. They have all of our materials, our practice exams, our videos, interactive courses. Join the premium IELTS package by clicking on this red button here that's just right above my head there. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. We're an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. We have all the tools that you need to succeed on your next IELTS exam. For the general IELTS green background, gieltshelp.com. Again, just click that big red button and you are good to go. Arguably, we offer the best training online for the best price anywhere in the world. So you are in the right place. Students, we will use these websites in just a moment for the listening. You'll hear the audio with the British speakers. And you can use this code on the websites. It's READ9 to get that 10% discount. You can follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp, GIELTSHelp. And you can send an email if you have questions or need some direction. Adrian at aehelp.com, admin at aehelp.com. Schedule from today until April Fool's Day. April's Fool's Day. We've got listening right now. Tomorrow we've got speaking part 2, speaking part 3. Then no class 26th to the 29th. And we have class again on the 30th, 31st, and the 1st. So that's back to our regular schedule there. And we always have some exciting new videos in HD that we release on YouTube and, of course, on our websites. We've got this one with a Vietnamese Band 9 candidate. You can check that out when you have a minute. All right, everybody, listening strategies. Listening is usually the very first section of your IELTS exam when you sit down to your computer station. If you're doing the computer version, if you're doing the paper version, it's also usually the same as well. Welcome, Romelia. All right, so when you sit down to your IELTS exam, there's a fair bit of instructions, okay? You're going to have the invigilator, one of the people that are the administrators there, give you some instructions. And then the audio will give you instructions as well. During the audio instructions, check the topic of each of the listening parts, okay? They call them listening parts now, not sections. Check the topic of each of the listening parts just so you get your brain tuned in and thinking about those topics. Is that clear, everybody? So this is my first strategy, first tip for you for the day. And then we'll have lots more as we answer these questions. So tip 1, you have about 80 seconds. During the 80-second instruction time, don't just stare at the ceiling like, hey, I'm in the IELTS exam. This is a pretty nice color that they picked for this exam room. It's not really a white. It's kind of like an eggshell white. Unless the listening part is about different colors to paint the house, you should not be doing that. You should be focusing on the exam, and you should be focusing not on being nervous, but on the topics, okay? So during the 80-second instruction time, immediately remember your strategies and check the topic of each listening part. Okay, very important. Okay, what should you remember? So I said remember your strategies. What should you remember? You're sitting there, the audio starts. Welcome to the IELTS listening section. This has 4 parts. This is a copyright material of Cambridge IELTS ESOL Examination Board and is distributed by IDP and British Council. So while this instruction is going, what should you remember? So you remember to check the topics. What else? And this should be immediate, and it should follow all the way until you're done your IELTS exam. In fact, it should follow you whenever you're looking at information, but this very important part. Chayani, yes. What's the word? Yes. Alexi, yes. Visualize. Visualize. See the information. Okay. So that's another one that you have to remember right away. Visualize. See the information. Right. What part of our brain is dedicated for visual processing? I said this the other day. Let's see who was paying attention, who did their homework, who reviewed their notes. What part of the brain is dedicated to processing visual information for our brain? Harjot says it's the back side of our brain. That's right. It's not the frontal. It's not the left. It's the back part. What is that called? That's right, Carolina. It's called the occipital lobe. Okay, makes sense. Occipital, ocular. Ocular means eyes. Okay. Oculus rift, for those of you who are into VR. Occipital lobe, the back of the brain. All right, turn it on. Use it right away as soon as the IELTS exam starts, right? Visualize. What else do you have to remember? What else is another big major kind of key strategy, key point to remember? Of course, stay calm, so don't stress, that's given. But what else should you remember? Robert, it's not the right part of the brain. It's right and left. It's the occipital lobe. Critical thinking, Alexi, very good. Yes, so critical thinking and logic, right? So critical thinking and logic are kind of synonyms, okay? Why do I say that? Because even if you miss an answer, so if you're like, oh, I didn't catch that, I think that was the answer, don't panic. Oftentimes you can figure out the answers, okay? Often you can figure out the answers from the questions and by using logic. Okay. So keep all of these in mind before your listening starts. Okay, not while your listening starts, definitely not after your listening, and ideally before. Okay. All right. So you can figure it out. Lovely girl says, how can I catch that? Well, I'll show you, lovely girl. We're going to use an example here. All right. Beautiful people in all parts of the world. Are you ready to listen? Are you ready to apply some of these strategies? We're going to get into part 1. Alauna says, yeah, we are ready. All right, great. So this is our 3rd exam coming out of our exam books again, okay? And I'm going to use a headset here. Use a headset when you can. This is from the curriculum book, Lexi. It's from book 1. That's right. Thank you for asking. And it's test 2. It's page 117 for those of you who have access to the premium packages. It's in your downloadable book. If you don't have access, don't panic. We will do it together. General and academic websites will have the same listening because the listenings are the same for the academic and general exam. So here you have your academic website at aehelp.com. You get the premium course by clicking the red button, and then you have all of the materials. You go into your My Student account. In your My Student account, you have your computer-based practice exams, online interactive course, lesson books and exam books for download and printing. You have all the lesson videos with the strategies. And then, of course, logically, you have the audio CDs. Now, this is the 3rd exam, and this is listening part 1. So we go to CD 3, and we go to listening section 1 here. Everybody, while we listen and answer, put the answers separately, not in the chat. That helps other people so that they don't get confused and so they can figure out answers for themselves, okay? So avoid putting answers in the chat. Here we go, everybody. Let's do this. Let's begin listening. And then you'll see me look at the other sections during the instructions. So I'll show you exactly what to do here. Here we go.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Listening section 1. You will hear a conversation between 2 women as one of the women registers her daughter for nursery school. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half-day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
The woman says she would like to register her daughter for half-day nursery school. So A has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half-day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
So your daughter's name is Matilda Johnson?
Yes, let me spell it for you. The first name is Matilda, M-A-T-I-L-D-A, and the last name is Johnson, but it's not the common spelling. It's spelt J-O-N-S-S-O-N. My husband is Swedish, which explains the different spelling.
Right. And what is Matilda's date of birth?
She was born December 25th, 2006.
So she was born at Christmas. That is incredible.
Yes, she was an incredible present to get for Christmas. It certainly was the most memorable Christmas I've had.
Yes, I would imagine. Okay, so now I need Matilda's personal education number, which she should have received in the post recently.
I don't remember receiving such a letter in the post.
It would have come from the Department of Education, and they always post things in yellow envelopes. You don't remember seeing a yellow envelope in the post?
In fact, I do, but I didn't open it. My husband did. He didn't mention anything about a personal education number. Now he's away with work and I won't be able to reach him.
Well, we can retrieve the number. I'm going to need your national insurance number as well as your husband's. I'm going to need your husband's name as well.
My husband's name is Eric, with a K instead of a C on the end. His last name is Johnson, of course. His national insurance number is DF987745W, and mine is KL409115N.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
Right. Okay, let me see here. Alright, here is a personal education number. I will give it to you now so that you can write it down for future reference. It is T56340192.
Just to make sure, the first character is T as in Thomas.
Yes, and this letter in front of the number shows what region the child is originally from. The T in this case refers to Tyne and Wear.
That would be correct, I'd imagine. Matilda was born in Newcastle, which of course is in Tyne and Wear.
Okay, so we have all the information about Matilda that we need. She is now registered for half-day nursery school in September. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I was wondering what sort of training your nursery school teachers have.
That is a very good question. Each of our teachers has, at a minimum, a 2-year diploma in early childhood education. Many of our senior staff have bachelor's degrees in education in addition to the 2-year diploma, and our departmental head, Miss Janet Roth, has a postgraduate certificate, bachelor's degree and diploma. Do not worry, Miss Johnson, your daughter Matilda is in very good hands.
That makes me feel a lot better. Can you tell me when the first day of school is, and also will there be an orientation day for new students and parents?
The first day of class is the 5th of September, and yes, we do have an orientation day. It takes place on the 3rd of September from 9 to midday. Parents and children are strongly encouraged to attend.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, back to the website here, and we'll stop that audio. By the way, students, if you want to get the mobile app, you can do that too. Just use that QR code. All right, so that's, and some of you are probably like, oh, that was really easy. It shouldn't be. It's part 1. It's meant to be by far the easiest part of the listening, okay? So in part 1, in this part, you should be aiming for 9 or 10. So you should be aiming for basically a perfect score. If you're not getting most of these answers correct, you could be in trouble because parts 2, 3, and 4 just get a lot more difficult, okay? So how is part 1 easier? Well, first of all, the information, the questions, the answers are a lot easier. The language is easier. Secondly, they repeat the answers more than in the other parts. So you heard like the people say, oh, it's this number. Oh, is it this number? Yeah, it's that number. So in this sense, it's a little bit easier for sure, okay? And you have to aim for a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Let's look at the answers. And of course, don't forget, students, there is a big difference between how we did this and your real exam. What's that big difference? Anybody know? So how was this practice quite a bit different from your real test? It's important to recognize this, okay? I don't want people to fall into a mind trap thinking, oh, this was super easy. My real exam is going to be just that easy. So how was this? It's not easier than the real test. The real IELTS is just as difficult. Exactly, Harjot. So Harjot's smart. And Carolina's smart too. Yeah, you won't have my help, okay? So here I guided you, okay? I guided you through the questions and the answers, so you saw exactly what was going on and when it was happening, okay? I'm not there in the real test. Nobody's moving the questions. Nobody's highlighting the key words and key phrases when they're coming, okay? So be careful about that, all right? Amra, yes, it can be. Amra's asking, can the listening be different nationality intonations? Yes, it's usually British, Amra, but there can be Canadian, American, Australian, New Zealand speakers in the listening as well. So you can hear different accents sometimes, especially in part 2, 3, 4. Not so much in part 1, okay? All right, so yeah, so I was guiding you, and Akashdeep says, learn from what he is doing. Yes, exactly, Akashdeep. So the reason I was doing this was to kind of guide and show you how to do this, okay? First of all, let's jump back to our notes. So remember what I said, you have to visualize, and you have to follow along carefully, and look at all of the different sections here. So here, part 1, obviously what we're doing right now is about nursery school registration. You probably saw that part 2, and I showed you this in the title as well, is something about a university history or university information, right? Part 3, what is that about? Anybody catch that while I was showing it? And what is part 4 about? Okay. Very good. Amra says part 3 is going to be something about taxes. You highlighted those words, taxes, taxes, taxes. Yes. Taxes, taxes, taxes. As I think I mentioned to Carolina a little while back, the Americans say 2 things in life are for sure, taxes and death. The Americans say that, not the Canadians. All right. And part 4, that's right, Amra. Isaac Newton. Now, Yash is asking, how do I deal with multiple choice questions? I was showing you that in the chat. Let's see who caught that in a moment here. So here, when you're visualizing, okay, you are registering your child. You are taking a university tour. You are collecting taxes. And you are Isaac Newton. Ooh, that's exciting. Why do I say that? So when you're visualizing this, when you're picturing this, you should see yourself calling on the phone, going to the nursery school. Here's my child. You know, what's going to happen? When do they eat lunch? When should we go and check out the school? Why do I say that? Why should you be a part of all these topics? Why should you be, let's say, included? So when confuse you there with words. Why should you be including yourself? It's the best way into these topics and visualization. So why should you do it? Why should you be Isaac Newton? Why should you be the Pharaoh, the Egyptian king collecting taxes? Naj Blue, it doesn't matter that you hate physics. Your goal is to pass IELTS. You have to be Isaac Newton. Flong says, we can empathize and think logically. Absolutely, Flong. That's a big part of it. Empathy and logical thinking. Divya says, better understanding. Yeah, and simply put, this will help you to stay calm and focus. Okay? Okay? When you're part of it, you don't worry about other ideas so much, right? You're not thinking about what your marks are going to be, or you're not thinking about the other person sitting beside you chewing their pencil nervously. So you're more focused, you're more relaxed, you're a part of the information, right? Okay, all right, makes sense? Yeah. Dylan says it will help me with my ADHD. Absolutely, Dylan. Yeah, it does. With the ADHD. No doubt. Yes. ADHD means attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Ooh, that's a mouthful. It's when a person cannot sit still. Okay, so yes, it will help you to stay calm and focus on the information. Absolutely. Okay, so that's what you want to do. You want to visualize and be a part of the information. Okay, let's look at these questions. So just remember, students, an important notice here, there's no examples. So there's a lot of practice materials out there. IELTS has been around for about 30 years. Maybe more. So it's changed a little bit over the years, not tons, but a little bit. One change recently is there's no examples. So if you're looking at some of those Cambridge books, when you're looking at some of our older exams, you'll notice that we include the examples. You don't have that in the listening now. They just go directly to question 1. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, so let's just jump to question 1. Now, somebody was asking, what do I do for multiple choice questions? For multiple choice questions, okay, change the question into a statement. And focus on the answer, not the options. Okay, that's the first and most important tip. Okay, so notice how here the question is, what is the woman's husband's nationality? Okay, and I wrote the husband is from. Now it might be something different. It might be like my husband was born in, or my husband immigrated from, my husband moved here from, my husband is originally from. There are lots of different ways to say it, but I just simply wrote my husband is from. And she doesn't actually say my husband is from. She just says does anybody remember what she says exactly? Does anybody remember what her exact words are? When you do this, so when you change the question into a statement, then oftentimes you can catch exactly what they say. Yeah, very good, Harjot. Exactly. Exactly, Najblu. Yeah, my husband is Swedish. Yeah, that's verbatim what she says. Okay, if you don't know what the person says, you can check out the transcripts. Let me see if I can find those transcripts for you. I believe I think I can. So let me take a look here. Okay. So any good book that you're studying from should have the transcripts. It means the script of the audio. Okay. Okay. Let me just check here. 24. Transcripts are basically a description of all of what's going on and where it is and why you see it. Okay, so here's taxes part 3. Here's taxes, just bear with me. Yeah, okay, here we go. So at the back of the book on this page, you'll see the transcripts here. Jane says, good afternoon, Monterey Primary. Jane speaking. Hello, my name is Diane Johnson, and I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary. And then they keep talking. Read these, okay? Use these in your materials. They're very, very helpful. And then you see where the answers are coming from for multiple choice. You want to check that, okay? So here we go. The first answer is right here where Diane says, yes, let me spell it for you. The first name is Matilda and the last name is Johnson, but it is not the common spelling. It is spelled JonSson. My husband is Swedish. Okay, for number one. So there you know, okay, that's how I figure out what nationality or what country he's from. Okay? All right. So let's go back to there. The questions, okay? So multiple choice. Listen for the answer, turn questions into statements. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, you can see that this one has quite a few multiple choice. If you're just thinking about doing the TOEFL, it's all multiple choice. Okay, but there you need note-taking strategy as well, so it's a little bit different. Black Panther, peace back at you. Yes, good. Everybody's got it. Hard job, thumbs up. Nicely done. Okay, let's do this. So, how is a child's personal education number normally received? So here, this is what I wrote. You will receive, or you should receive. You should have received. Alexi says C, picked up at school. Alauna says by post. The correct answer is by post. And they also say in the mail. Right? So they repeat it a couple of times. And again, if you missed it, check the transcripts. What did I miss? What did I mess up on? What didn't I hear? What did I hear? Maybe I have to pay a little bit more attention to that, right? So by post. Okay. All right. Now, the next one. Why is the husband out of town? And here again, the woman says, oh, my husband is away with... Okay, work. That's right, B. Okay, now let's say that you missed this, right? My husband is away, and you didn't get this. Okay, you didn't hear it. Let's just imagine for a second. You didn't hear the answer to this multiple choice question. You weren't able to catch the mom saying, my husband is away with work. What should you do to figure out this answer? Okay, what other strategy? Okay. So Alana says predict. It's not really prediction. Yeah, logic. That's right. What could you think here logically? Yep, Alana's common sense is another way to say logic. Okay, logic can help here. Why? Yeah, exactly. So Yash says probably he won't go on vacation alone. Right? So for family reasons and for vacation, he's probably going to take his family. He's probably not going to be like, all right, honey, daughter, I'm going to go and hang out on the beach for a few days. I'll be back. You never know. It's possible. I kind of went on vacation last weekend and left my family. So I'm guilty of that. It wasn't really a vacation. I went to an exhibit with one of my friends in Vancouver, but it's possible, but unlikely, right? Usually we take our family with us on vacations, okay? So last weekend, it wasn't a family kind of event, so That's why I didn't take my family. But 9 out of 10 times guarantee you I would. Okay? All right. So unlikely, right? So choose the likely answers. Choose the likely answers. All right? Okay. Now, let's get into the next piece here. Question number 4. Okay. Which 3 pieces of information are required? It's like, multiple choice questions aren't enough. Now you have a multiple choice question that's worth 1 mark, right? So here, what you want to do is you want to take notes. Okay? Notes are the most helpful. The problem with these kinds of multiple choice questions is there's just simply too much information to read in the listening. Does everybody clearly understand what I'm telling you here? Okay, so for this type of question, sometimes they're worth more than 1 mark. Sometimes they're worth 2 or 3 marks. So each choice is worth a mark. Okay. The problem, if you're looking at the answers and hoping that they kind of just pop out at you, is that it's too much information. Okay, TMI, as they say, too much information. So you won't be able to do the question in that way. So it's very, very difficult to do that way. Does that make sense? So instead of looking at this when you're hearing the audio, you have note paper. You have note paper in the computer-based exam as well. It's just one kind of piece of paper that has your instructions on it, and you have your pen or your pencil, right? So you have your pencil, and then you write it down. So you write down insurance numbers, okay? And just use really fast forms. So personal insurance number and names, right? You write it down, and then you can even leave it. So instead of scanning each of these and trying to figure it out, because you don't want to miss the next question that's coming below, right? So if you have your notes, you can label your notes. You can go number 4 like that, right? And then when part 1 is finished, it will say now you have some time to review your answers. Then during that time, you can go, okay, I wrote down insurance number, and I would just do insurance number like that, so super fast, and then names like that, right? So I would actually not even do that. I would keep it simpler like this. And then when part 1 is finished and it says now you have a few seconds, then I would come back to this question and go, okay, these are my notes. So insurance numbers, personal insurance number. All right. That's probably not it, because national insurance. So personal insurance is personal. We don't share it. Logic again. So national insurance. And the names, I only choose 3. So we've got woman's name, husband's name. They already have the woman's name. That's how it all started, right? So we don't need that one. Okay. So all I need then is I need the woman's national insurance number, the husband's, and the husband's name. Okay. So the answer is C, D, and F. Okay. Personal insurance is like your life insurance. Okay, that's different. So C, D, F. Okay. Audio fiction, it's not CEF, it's CDF. Okay. CDF. Everybody got that? Nipa, it's not that tricky as long as you pay attention. Okay. So CDF. Okay. So multiple choice notes. Okay. If you're trying to read all of this and make sense of it, the big problem is you might not just get this one wrong, okay, but there's a chance you might get the next question wrong and even the next question wrong because you're stuck looking here when you should already be looking at the next questions. Okay, does that make sense, students? Anybody have any questions with that strategy for these multiple choice? It's basically a multiple choice, right? You have several choices and you need multiple answers, so it's a multiple choice. Does that make sense? Kirana says, I got 2 correct. Unfortunately, Kirana, when it's just one question, you have to get all 3 correct. If you only got 2 correct, it's still wrong. Okay, Alauna says, understood. Yes, Black Panther, for this type of question, I strongly recommend taking notes while you're listening. Okay? All right. Karina says, got it. Okay, good. All right. Number 5, the name, the spelling. This is, again, multiple choice now. When it's spelling or when it's number, dictation, credit card number, or address, just be patient. They usually repeat the answer twice in part 1. Okay. The answer here for number 5 is... Yeah, so it's Eric K with a K because the speaker says it's spelt with a K instead of a C. Yeah, that's right, Chayani. K instead of a C. Gaurav says, I mostly get confused with multiple choice question. Gaurav, the number 1 reason, does anybody know why people say that when candidates say this, or when people say this, that I mostly get confused with multiple choice? What's the number 1 reason for why people say that? What do you think is the number 1 reason that some candidates say, I get confused with multiple choice questions? What do you think? What do you think is the reason why most students say that? So Edwin says they're not paying attention. No. Yeah, AJ, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Alexi. They're focusing on the answers. Yeah. See, many of you got it. So it is because they are focusing on the answers and not the question. You must focus on the question. And not the answers. Okay? So that's the number 1 reason. Being distracted or not catching the paraphrasing, those are other reasons as well. But the number 1 reason, and I can see it. So when I'm training people, when I'm looking at people doing this in the past, I can see their eyes. And I can see their eyes like looking at all the answers, and they're not looking at the question. And then I can see them get frustrated, like, I missed that one. And I'm like, oh, it's because you're looking at all the answers and not the question. And that got confusing, okay? So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. So that's clear. It's a really, really important point because there are quite a few of these, okay? All right. What is Matilda's personal education number? So here again, there was a repeat, and Matilda's education number is A. Yeah, I believe that was the right answer. Okay. And notice how they help you here a little bit with the TP, the P and the T. And I don't mean TP like toilet paper, but the pronunciation sounds very similar. So TP. And so they help you here in part 1. One of the speakers says T as in Thomas, right? Okay. Upsana, good luck on your exam tomorrow. I think Black Panther caught my toilet paper comment. Yeah, we shortened toilet paper to TP. You have some TP? Okay. Good. So here we go. Number 7, where was the child born? She was born in, she is from, that's what we're listening for. And it was given Newcastle. Very nice. Yes, clearly given. Okay, that was one of the easier ones. All right. Okay, another one of these multiple choice. They're just having a heyday with it. It's guaranteed you will see one of these multiple choice questions in your listening, and there's a good chance you might see two of them. Okay, so here you also saw me take notes. What two qualifications, so it's only two, do many of the nursery school senior staff have? Many of them. Okay, 1-year diploma, 2-year diploma, 3-year diploma, master's degree, bachelor's degree, doctorate degree. The correct answers, Chen says it was B, 2-year diploma, and E, bachelor's degree. Yeah. Abdillah, if you only gave one, it's going to be an issue. Alexander, if you only gave one, it's an issue. What two qualifications? Watch those, the two, it's emphasis there. Okay. So, 2-year diploma, bachelor's degree. Very good. Okay, first day of class. So this was filling in the blanks. Okay. Yeah, Alexia, I agree. The last one could be guessed logically. Yeah, you would logically guess that a lot of the nursery school teachers have a bachelor's degree, especially in today's world, right? Alaunas, 5th of September? I couldn't catch it. Yeah, but you did catch it. See, once you have the answer, then, be firm with it. Believe in yourself. Don't second guess yourself. It was the 5th of September. It's after orientation, which makes sense, okay? Usually when you have school, orientation day is a couple of days before school starts, right? Orientation day is where they tell you where you go and what you learn and where the library is, where the washrooms are, what time you have to be at school. That's the orientation day, what kind of school supplies you need. So that's orientation day. So if orientation day is on the 3rd of September, it makes sense that the first day of class is going to be a little bit later. Okay, so if you heard September 5th, it's a really good guess that that's probably it. All right. And the last one, Sherpa, Domenico, and Alexander are saying that should be parents. Now, students, it is a sentence. So to be on the safe side, you should use a capital P. They'll probably give you that even with a small p, but technically that should be parents with a capital P and definitely an S because children is plural. So if you have just parent, and that's dangerous. Okay. So it's parents. Okay. All right, everybody. Any questions with listening part 1? Let me know if you have some questions. I have a question for you. What did you get out of 10? How did you do? Again, remember what I said. You should get 9 or 10 for a high band score. Okay, so Silviana, 8 is okay. It's not terrible, but definitely you want to see why you're losing a couple of marks, right? So what's happening there? AJ, 7 out of 10 is starting to, same Karina, 7 out of 10 is getting on the lower end for the listening, okay? Chen, 10 out of 10 is great. Bro Lazik, we're going to go back to the audio here in a second. Alexi says, overthinking is killing me. But you know what, Alexi? Knowing that you're overthinking and that's what's causing the issue is halfway to the solution, okay? So that's halfway to the solution. Yeah, Edwin, unfortunately that missing S would cost you that mark. So if that was the only mistake, then it would definitely be a 9 out of 10, right? So pay attention to those plurals, especially those irregular plurals, right? Like child, children. So parent and children is awkward. Parents and children should attend orientation. Okay, grammar there will also help. Grammar logic. Okay, everybody. So far, so good. Be proud of what you get and think about what you can do to get more marks. Let's go to let's go to listening part 2. And we know that it's a university tour. We're going to listen, answer. I will help you with strategies after, just like we did with part 1. Again, I saw a couple people asking, where's this audio? Where's this coming from? It's coming from our website. So General IELTS looks like this with the green background, gieltshelp.com. You can click that big red button that's just above my head there to join the premium IELTS package. Get all 6 of our practice exams, over 100 hours of video lessons, interactive courses, and lots more. Definitely worth it. Academic, same idea, aehelp.com, looks like that. You can click that red button that's there, and then you're in your My Student account. You click on audio CDs, and there you have all the audio. Okay, so this is the 3rd exam, so CD3, track 2. Here we go, everybody. Let's do this. Again, answers, separate paper. We share them after, okay? All right. Yes, Chen's giving you the link there for the premium course. Thank you, Chen. Okay, here we go.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of a university campus tour. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you are here for the university campus tour, you are in the correct place. There are 2 purposes for this tour. For prospective students, you get to see the campus where you may be studying in a few months, and you get to learn some interesting information which may convince you to look favourably on our university. For parents, you get to learn what life is like at this university, so you know where you are sending your kids off to this autumn. Before we start the tour, I'd like to give you some background information. This university was originally opened in 1686, although from 1745 to 1805 it was shut down due to a lack of funding. The university is composed of 23 buildings which were built in one of 3 periods. There were 4 original buildings in 1686, a dozen more buildings were constructed in the period from 1805 to 1815, and the final 7 buildings have been added in the past 10 years. So there is a fascinating mix of 17th century, 19th century and quite modern architecture. The first building we are going to look at is called the Prescott Building, named after the university's first Chancellor, William Chester Prescott. As you can probably tell, this is one of the university's original buildings completed in 1686. The building is actually quite unique in shape. It is approximately 40 metres long while only 8 metres wide. It also has these interesting circular areas attached to each corner, 4 of them in all. These 4 circular areas each house a large bell. None of the bells work today, however. As we walk in the door, I'd like to point out all of the beautiful Persian carpets on the floor. These carpets were donated to the university by a former student almost 150 years ago. It is very common for former students who have done well in life to give back to the university. Some give money, some give land, some give gifts such as Persian carpets. One former student even gave the university his pub after he died. By the way, that pub, which is located at the intersection of 3rd Street and Pine Avenue, gives students of the university a 30% discount. Now, if that's not a selling point for this university, I don't know what is. On a serious note, it is our outstanding education which makes our university a top competitor on the global front.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
Before we go any further, are there any questions? No? Right then. Next we are going to visit the university library. As you see in front of the library, there is a beautiful fountain which shoots water high up in the air. Once again, the funding for the fountain came from a former student, in this case a well-known artist. It was constructed just 15 years ago at the cost of £50,000. As we step into the library, I think what you'll notice at first is the fact there are no books. Indeed, there are no books at all on the entire ground floor. On the 5 upper floors, however, there are over 3 million books. The library's collection has been built over time through private donations, gifts from former students, as well as university purchases. There is also a special collections area where there are original works dating back to the year 1588. Next on our itinerary is a visit to the sporting facilities. Here at the university we have over a dozen different facilities for almost any sport you can imagine, ranging from football and rugby to tennis and squash to archery and cricket. Our rugby team has won the national championship 3 out of the last 5 years. As you'll see on your left is a famous wall where we put pictures of.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, let's stop the audio on the website and let's check our answers. And now, as you can hear, part 2 definitely more challenging than part 1. And again, I was guiding you, so I was showing you how the audio flows, what you need to pay attention to. Okay, let's take a look at this. So first we have a table about kind of the history of the establishment of the university, right? Now here, what was the answer? Number 11. Did anybody catch that? Okay, so when did this university open? Yeah, very good. So it was 1686, right? Not 96, 86. How many times did they give this answer? $16.86. Amra says at least 2. Yash says I think 3 times. Yeah, it was at least twice, but maybe 3 times. The first time was really fast and it was a little bit tricky to catch. They also gave the answer here with the first building. Did anybody catch that? So the Prescott building. They said the Prescott building was finished in 1686. So, excuse me. So, if you missed that first answer, and here the tour guide says it very clearly. He says it was finished in 1686. Like, he even emphasizes it. And you had to guess, you could be like, oh, wait a second, that makes sense. So if the Prescott building, and they're doing so much talking here that this one's fairly easy to get. So if you missed it the first time, you can be like, oh, okay, that also makes sense for number 11. Did anybody make that connection? That the university opened in 1686, the first building was finished in 1686? Anybody catch that that connection in the audio? AJ, thank you for being very honest. AJ says, I did not catch that. Chayani says, yes, I did. Natty says, yes, I did. Okay, so pay attention. Here's a very important tip for your IELTS. Just because you miss a question doesn't mean you might not get it right. It might come a little bit later again, okay? Oftentimes, you will hear the answers repeated, or there will be information that will help you to figure that answer out, okay? All right. So between 1745 to 1805, it was shut down. And then 1805 to 1915, how many buildings were constructed? So this was a number. Okay. How many buildings? Dylan says 12 for number 12. Yep. They said a dozen. Okay, dozen means 12. So you can use dozen, or you could have also put 12. Okay, 12 would have been okay as well, because a dozen is 12. Okay. 23 buildings in total. 12 of those buildings were constructed between 1805 and 1815. Okay. In the past something years, 7 buildings were constructed. So how many buildings were constructed, or sorry, in the past, how many years were 7 buildings constructed? In the past? Yep. Snehal, if you wrote dozen, it's okay. You'll get the mark for that for the previous. Dylan says number 13 should be 10. Yes, it is. It's 10 years. In the past 10 years. Sounds like the university in my city, Victoria. They built a whole bunch of new buildings in the university. I graduated from the University of Victoria in psychology. It's a big university. About 20,000 students right now, I think, roughly, in that university. And some big ones in Canada. In British Columbia, where I live, for those of you who are traveling, we've got 2 amazing universities. One is in my city of Victoria. It's the University of Victoria. It's got about 20,000 students. It's got an amazing psychology department. And the other good one is University of British Columbia, or UBC, in Vancouver. It's got about 40,000 students. Okay, it's kind of like its own little city. It's got buses and everything. All right. So now on to the building. The Prescott Building was the first building. Here you had to identify the diagram. Okay. 40 meters long while only 8 meters wide with the circles. The answer is B. Yes, indeed. Bonus question. What are the circles? What's that? Okay, so when you're doing the listening, especially when you're practicing at home, one really good strategy for your practice is to kind of go beyond just the answers and think about how much information you can recollect. So what were bonus question, bonus time? I don't have a sound effect for that. I need a sound effect. What were these circles? What is that? What are those little things? Are they the alien spaceship landing pads? Is that where the aliens will fly with their little UFOs and make their descent? They're flying saucers, little windows there on the alien ship, and they will visit the university. Is that what's going on? No, Audio Fiction says no, Adrian. It's not for alien landing. It's bells. It's the bell towers of the university. Okay. Yes, that is right. Okay. So it's the bells. Listen for details. Emery Rogin says that's a hamburger. Maybe aliens fly spaceships similar to hamburgers. You never know. All right. So number 15. How many years ago were the Persian carpets donated? Students, when you see names like Persian, okay, there's no way around that. You're going to hear that in the audio. They're not going to paraphrase that, right? There are very few names that have paraphrasings. For example, America, USA. Some have a way to paraphrase, most don't. Mostly you will hear the word. In this case, you will hear Persian. Okay, what's the answer here? 150. That's all you need. Why? Because it says years ago. You have the number here, years, or you have the measure, sorry, I should say. So all you need there is 150. You don't even need years. Okay? How many years ago were the Persian carpets donated? 150. That's all you need for the answer. Because the measure. The only time you have to put the measure, like dollars or days or minutes, is if you do not see it in the question. Then you need the measure. Does that make sense? That's an important point. It can save you a mark. Okay? If you have the measure in the question, it's not needed in the answer. If you don't have the measure, it's needed in the answer. Or if the measure is different than the question, that would be a rare case, but it's possible. Okay? So if like the question says how many days were they sailing, and it says they were sailing for 192 hours, then you should put hours. Okay. All right, but that's, again, like I say, that's rare. Okay. All right, number 16, the local pub, the local watering hole. Yes, indeed. So the students get a discount at the local pub that was donated to the university. 3%, yeah, that's not even an option, right? That would just be silly. 40%, yeah, possible, but they might go out of business. Correct answer, logic also tells me this. A, 30%. That's right, Domenico. Denise Chen, very good. Alanis, Alexander, nice. 30% discount for students at the pub. It's a good way to make sure that that pub is filled with students, right? Okay. Last one, paragraph completion. Now here, because of the flow of the listening, I actually had quite a bit of time to review here and think about, what I need to listen for. So one really good tip for this type of question is definitely review this type of question before you hear the audio. Make sure you have time to review it. Okay. Sometimes students aren't paying attention to what the audio is giving you or saying, and they're still looking at different parts or different places in the listening. So when the audio says now you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20, make sure that you're looking at 17 to 20, especially with this type of question. Okay, it's very important. So in front of the library, there is a beautiful what? Fountain. That's right. Okay, good. Inside the library, the ground floor has how many books? Number 18. How many books? Has no books. That's right. Maybe to protect it from flooding, water damage, something like that. These days, many libraries, the ground floor are filled with computers and meeting rooms and such. So the upper floors have over 3 million books. The collection was built by donations, gifts, and university purchases. Additionally, there is a number 19 was tricky. It was tough. Anybody? Sylviana says special collection. Almost. It was a tricky one. It's a special. You have to kind of know this word. Collections. Okay. The only way you get this one right, and of course, some of these questions they're fishing for band 8, band 9. Don't panic. Special collections, you need the S as well. Okay, special collection is not enough. It's special collections area. You can actually count collections. So you have a collection of religious books. You have a collection of art books. You have a collection of historical books. It's a special collections area with multiple collections. Okay, tricky one. All right. There are many sporting facilities, including the rugby field, which is home to the rugby team, which has won 3 of the past 5. What? 3 of the past 5, not years. Answer, unfortunately, is not years here. Dylan says it's 3 of the past 5 national championships. Capital, no capital, both is okay here. Okay. National championships. 3 of the last 5 national championships is the best answer. All right. Plural, because it's 3 of 5 championships. Okay. Bonus question. Students, what other sports are at this university? So what other sports does the speaker mention? Let's see how many of you are visual. How many of you visualize playing these? Dylan says archery. Cricket and tennis are also mentioned. Yeah, absolutely. Archery, cricket, tennis. That's a good way to check if you were visualizing. Did you see yourself shooting a bow and arrow? That's archery, right? Archery is the bow and the arrow. This is the bow. That's the arrow. Okay. Bow. Arrow. Arrow. The sport is archery. Cricket, especially if you're from India, you're probably very familiar with that. And of course, tennis. Did you see yourself play archery, play tennis? If not, you should be thinking, I'm probably not visualizing enough. All right, students, question. What did you get from 20? So from doing part 1, part 2 together, how did you do? Harjad, 16 out of 20 is good. Okay, Amra, 18 out of 20 is great. Alexi, 17 out of 20 is good. I think it's Anna. Anna, 15 out of 20 is a little bit less than it should be. Okay, ideally, for bands 7 and higher, you should be aiming for 16 or more for part 1 and part 2. Okay. Why? Because part 3, part 4 are going to get more and more difficult. So if you're getting less than 16, you need to practice. Okay? You need to get consistently 16 or more for part 1, part 2 for a good chance at a band 7. Does that make sense? Okay? So if you want to get band 7 in the listening, you want to consistently try to get 16 or more. Yes? Okay? All right, students, we're going to do listening parts 3 and 4 for this exam in next week's live classes. So make sure you come back for that. Again, we were using the audio from our website. There's lots and lots of audio there for not just the listening section, but also audio for reading, everybody. So you can get access to that by joining our premium IELTS package. If one of our moderators, Alexki Chen, thank you. So the link is in the chat there for you, and you can join by clicking the big red button that's there above my head. Get all the exams, follow these lessons, right? It's easier to participate. You can practice after class, before class. Makes your learning a lot more efficient. So that's how you do it. General IELTS, gieltshelp.com, same audio because it's listening. Listening is the same for the academic and the general. Everybody, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Carolina, Chen, Alexi, for moderating. You're all fantastic. Thank you for helping me out and helping out the other subscribers in the chat. Students, tomorrow we've got speaking part 2 for members, speaking part 3 for everybody, aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com. We will use the websites tomorrow to speak with people because the websites have speaking chat interface to practice IELTS also. So, okay, everyone, keep up the good work. Remember, don't just listen to English, speak in English as much as you can, okay? I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria with the University of Victoria for now, and I will be back tomorrow at roughly the same time. Please do join me. I look forward to it. Bye for now, everybody.